Is that official? True story. I'm walking down the street, it's cold as two motherfuckers. Cold, brick. Anybody know what brick is? That's where if you cry, the shit freezes on your eyes. Your nose runs, that's brick. And it's brick. And somebody's in an SUV and they're beeping the horn. And I look around, it's Biggie. And he says, and I'm trying to clean it up, get in the car. You know, so I get in the car. And he's in the passenger seat. I'm in the driver's seat because he didn't drive, but he's sitting there, got the heat on. And Tupac had just been killed. And I asked him, I said, yo, man, talk to me. What's the shit with you and Tupac? He said, I loved him, man. I said, yeah, but he's dead, and, you know, they're putting that shit on you. He says, yeah. He said that East Coast, West Coast, that's a media creation to keep us divided. And because Biggie was listening to me, and I had chances to remind him of shit that Puffy didn't want him to know, he said, no, that was bullshit, but it cost lives. And he already knew that hand was coming towards him. He said, listen to this, and he turned on his music, and what did he have in there? He had Tupac. And this is his words, not mine. He said, if that nigger had lived, we would be doing music together because individually nobody can touch us, and together nobody can ever fucking touch us. That's his words, verbatim. IBID is, for some of you English students, and you all can tape this, record it, I don't care what you do. The record labels and those people don't want me near their artists because the truth that I tell them is very simple. Unless you're using your music, your energy, your vibe to empower your people, feed your people, make your people aware. I mean, we don't need to be aware that we're hungry, and we don't need to be aware that we're oppressed. Anybody comes in and tells you, oh, we're second class. No, fuck that. I'm talking about empowering you where you get up. My birthday was 2 days ago. I got 1,500 bleeps on Facebook, people saying happy birthday and all. And half of them were saying that I inspired them, that I trained them, that I taught them, that I told them it's okay to be a man. It's okay to be a woman. It's okay to assume responsibilities. It's okay to be a leader. It's okay, if you're an artist, goddammit, be the best one you can be and not be locked into that mindset that tells you that you have to bend down on your knees and put that thing in your mouth. You don't have to. You don't have to show your butt cheeks. If you go to New York, people walk around in pajamas in the daytime. Men are walking around with their butt cheeks, with their butts sticking out. Pants down to here. What would they have to do to pay me to walk around? And if somebody comes to beat your ass, you can't run like that. And, you know, I'm a little jiggy now, but as a kid, I was a little skinny fucker, and, you know, I was quick. I wish I could tell you I won every fight. I kicked everybody's ass. I'll tell you I had 10 fights a day. I was called a half-breed, all this other dumb shit. And many times you didn't have a chance to run away. And I wish I could lie and tell you I beat all their asses. I beat most of their asses in running, you know. Anybody know this cat?
New York.
From The Sopranos and Goodfellas. That's the funniest shit. De La Soul called me up and they asked me to be in their video. I said, you must be on crack. They said, no, we're doing a remake of Car Wash. And I don't know how many of you saw the original Car Wash, but they had a native brother in there and they wanted me to do that. So I said, I'm not interested. They said, we'll pay you $1,000 a day. I said, where are we doing it? He said, we're doing it right near your house. But if you watch, it's funny. I don't have the Sambo dog. Go ahead. That is a funny moment right there. Biggie's smoking so much shit, his nose is bleeding. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands and tell me how many of you smoke weed. That's your business. It's like whether you wash your feet or not. That's your business. But he was smoking so much shit, his nose was bleeding. And that was like one of the first times I'd met Biggie. Come here. This is my, you see, this way you can't say I'm not picking on somebody my own size. I go up to Biggie. I got all my cameras, all my shit. Redman's there, Eric Sermon from EPMD, Ice-T. These are all my cats. So I go up to Biggie. Now, Biggie's a big motherfucker, you know. And I go up, I say, hey, Biggie, what's up? I'm Ernie. He says, I don't give a fuck who you are. Get out of my face. And I was like, what? He said, you heard me, motherfucker. I'm like, so I start to put my shit down, and Redman, no, Ernie's cool, and you know, they're all, I said, no, fuck that. I said, fuck that. So I take all the cameras off. I said, fuck that. And I said, what? And he goes like this. He puts his head down and starts laughing. He says, man, you don't remember, I met you last year in Brooklyn at the Mary J. Blige video, and we were kicking, and I looked at him, you know, he's like 100 pounds heavier and a foot taller. So I said, oh, shit. He says, yeah, he says, you my man, and pub guys. I said, you motherfucker, you know. And ever since then, he was always doing crazy shit with me, but he trusted me and he would tell me anything. There's a lot of stuff I'm not going to tell you, but, you know, that was a funny moment because you got two cats, and they're from Brooklyn. I don't know if you heard that song where he says that Brooklyn bullshit. I'm on it. We on it. We on it? He was serious. Brooklyn, go ahead, I'm sorry. I digress. Big Pun. I did the last photo shoot with Big Pun, and I'm going to tell you a story I don't think I ever told before. A Japanese newspaper, a Japanese magazine called Woofin. Any of you familiar with it? W-O-O-F-I-N, Woofin?
She just told me about it today.
Okay. Woofin. They called me up from Japan like 3 times. They asked me to shoot Big Pun. So I said, how'd you get my number? They said, do you want to make money? I said, yeah, that's my job. What do you want? We want you to shoot Big Pun. So 3 or 4 times we set up the shoot. 3 or 4 times he didn't go to the studio. So I figured he was on that bullshit. He's from the Bronx. Bronx got their own bullshit. So I thought he was on that Bronx, I ain't going bullshit. But it was serious, he wasn't feeling well. Finally, his wife, Lisa, called me. She said, Ernie, we're going to be at the studio tonight. I said, what time? She said, we're going to be there at 10 o'clock. So I knew that meant 1 o'clock in the morning. So I got there 1 o'clock in the morning, he got there at 2. So you can't do the math, trust me. It's like the Jews and Christians with the year, just, you know, and the Mayan, you know. I got to do this quick because 2012 is coming, you know. I get there, and he's got this food, and he's sharing food with me, and we're watching TV, waiting for the engineers to get their shit started. And he's telling jokes. He got his kids with him. I'm taking a bunch of pictures. And we're there all night, and we're laughing. And I don't know, 3, 4 o'clock, I don't know, you lose track of time. He gets real sick, he can't breathe. And I got a picture of him, he got his hands down his throat, he's trying to clear his esophagus with his hands. And you gotta understand, at this time he's like 800 pounds. And he starts taking his clothes off, and he's sitting there naked. His kids had fallen asleep, he's sitting there naked, and Fat Joe and his wife were there with icy rags trying to wipe him down to keep him going. And part of me wanted to take that picture, and part of me didn't, and he died within a few days later. And that's, you have to visualize an 800-pound man naked with 2 people bathing every part of his body. Just, you know. Go ahead. This was Aaliyah's 16th birthday. How many of you know Aaliyah?
Who doesn't know Aaliyah?
Huh? Who doesn't? Anybody know who she married? Fuck. You know, I don't know if any of you ever been to daycare or got anybody who works in daycare or kids in daycare. But when you go to daycare, there's a whole bunch of shit you can't do and can do. It's got to be safe. The floor's got to be soft like this. You can't have no sharp objects. You can't have no kids in their windows that can break glass. And you can't have R. Kelly around. No, I was going to open a daycare center.
Where'd you meet him?
I met him when he was 16 years old, when he was in Digital Underground. And I'm glad you asked that question because I'm going to tell you a story. And I know you got dirty minds, but it's not what you think. He was a roadie for Digital Underground. And I got the guys from Digital Underground together. I was going to take the picture, and they said, Tupac's now. I said, where's Tupac? They said he's, you know, so we're at some fucking room like this, jet black, nothing around, and they said he's in that room. So these guys, Humpty Hump was always joking, so you never knew when he was on that bullshit or when he was not. So I'm over there, and I said, okay, like a stiff, I go over there, and I go into the room. The room's jet black, and I hear, I'm like, oh shit. And, you know, we're all adults. I'm like, shit. So I fuck around, I find some lights, I turn the lights on, and here's Tupac with like 10 naked women. I was like, oh but then I looked, my eyes kept, and what it was they had blow-up dolls, them sex dolls, and he was blowing them up to go on stage. They had to go on, and he was the I only published that once in a book that Vibe did on Tupac, and there's another picture of him and Humpty Hump, and they're holding up these dolls, the blow-up dolls. That's a true story. See, that's the stuff that's not in my book. Go ahead. Bow wow. Keep going. Okay, there's Tupac. That was that night, and look how young he is. And anybody know that group? That's Digital Underground. See this white guy here? Anybody know his name? That's DJ Fuse. And DJ Fuse was the DJ for Digital Underground. Anybody know his name? Blowfish. Look how young he was. And he wasn't on all that thug shit, that spitting at people and getting all tough. Because the truth is he went to a prep school. Anybody know that? In prep school, they prep you. Yeah, yeah. Jada was a good friend, and Jada was a woman that was not afraid. I was really surprised that she stood away from that for a minute, but she would stand up, and anytime there was shit going on, she would be there. We had a beef between a Tribe Called Quest, specifically Q-Tip, and Rex in Effect, and they almost blinded Q-Tip. To this day, his eye's still not right. And Jada was there at the mosque with us, with the Nation of Islam, Africa Bambaataa, myself, Jada, and I got footage of that somewhere. Jada was a good sister. Jada was, first I got to tell you something, I don't want to disrespect you men, but if it wasn't for the sisters, there'd be no hip-hop, and if it wasn't for the sisters, all them dumbasses in hip-hop would be in jail. Women have always taken the back seat in getting the applause, but the truth is quite different. Trust me on that. We'll get back to that, but trust me on that. My guy here's falling asleep. Can you see the picture? Oh, you can see it there. Yeah. Okay, that's Little Weezy before he tattooed his face and his butt cheeks and everything. Okay, that was the day he told his Birdman, you know, to chill. Like I said, I don't get angry. I pick up the phone. I'm, you know, 75 of you wanted me. Hello, Bam. Yeah, you in the Bronx? Yeah, okay. Go ahead. T.I., this is one of the dumbest motherfuckers ever in hip-hop. He gets caught, wait a second. Let's do the math. I don't know if you know about the gun laws. You get caught with a gun, you're gonna do 10 years. 5 maybe if you got some connections. He got caught with a goddamn truckload of machine guns and shit, and they let him go with 1 year. Now the math don't work. You gotta tell somebody something for your ass to get 9 years instead of 10. He got 1 year. And then he put his ass on probation when he came out, and he goes and he does all these self-help things about how to stay on the good path and being all righteous, and he sounded like Minister Farrakhan for a minute. I don't know if you all saw it, but he was like Mr. Righteous. I learned from, and then they caught him in the car with weed and shit, and, you know. Motherfucker, if you're trying to do right, people are gonna watch you. And if they're watching you, you gotta chill your shit. You just gotta put that shit on hold. If you can't go a year without getting blunted, then you got a problem. If you can't do a year without guns, you got a problem. If you can't do a year without doing some dumb shit, you got a problem.